In this particular lesson, we are going to get our hands dirty. We are going to introduce Google AI Studio, which is a playground for a lot of things we have discussed so far. The offerings of Google. It is not the production version of Google service offering, but it is more like a playground or testing field, if you know what I mean. Now, after that, we'll be running a model locally. We'll be downloading a latest model from Google and we'll run it locally. We'll look at our GPU usage and things like that, just to see how this thing works in the real system. It is optional to do these demos by yourself, but if you're into it, more than welcome. Now, let's get into it. So regarding the services Google provide on the Gen AI space, Gemini stands on the top. Initially, when ChatGPT got released by OpenAI, Gemini or Brad was playing a catch-up game with OpenAI. But right now, at the time of this particular recording, 2025, 26 almost, Gemini is one of the top models. Gemini 2.5 series is one of the top models out there. In fact, it is so good that I have started using it regularly. It is assisting me for the first time in my entire life. This particular model right here, although I have no affiliation with Google for saying this, it is definitely one of the topmost model right now, just assisting like a human in every aspect of what I'm doing. So Gemini is nothing but a chatbot at the moment. We'll see shortly how it works. Just like ChatGPT, if you have used ChatGPT, Gemini is nothing but exactly same, very similar in everything. A cut down version of Gemini is Gima or Gima, however you want to pronounce it. So Gima is a cut down version of the full-fledged Gemini. Not sure if they have the same base model, doesn't matter to us. The single most important difference between Gemini and Gima is the fact that Gima can be downloaded. The model weights are public. You can download the model weights and run it in your local hardware. For example, if you have a graphics card which can contain Gima, you can run it locally using Olama or LM Studio. In the demo, we will have a look at Gima inside LM Studio. This particular laptop doesn't have much advanced graphics card, but in a proper graphics card environment, you can run Gima locally. Which means that if you don't want to give any data publicly, you have a super secret project, like a defense contract or something like that, you can use a model like this within your private network. Imagine is image generation. So like the name says, text to image diffusion model. These are transformer based models, but these are diffusion models. Diffusion models are slightly different architecture, neural network architectures to create images from text. So we'll see that as well. Vivo is the video generation based on text. So these are the four main offerings of Google Gen AI space at the moment. Now what we can do is we can have a look at all these items here in the Google AI Studio. So if you have a Google account, you can simply go to aistudio.google.com. If you look at the URL right here, and you can see chat, stream, generate media, build history, all these things on the left side. This is the look of the Google AI Studio. All you need is a Google account or a Gmail, whatever you call it, and you can go to this particular URL right here, or simply search Google AI Studio in Google and it should get you this particular URL. This is a studio right here, a dashboard and documentation. What we are looking at the screen is the AI Studio itself. As you can see in the right side, you can see different models. For example, we have the Gemini 2.5 Pro, different variants of these models right here. And if you hover the mouse, you can see the cost associated with all these models. Input, output, how much money you will spend for a million token. So what is a token? Token is a combination of words and spellings and things like that. For example, this particular string right here could be some 10 tokens. So all the cost of the large language models is based on tokens it is processing. Mostly the cost is associated with 1 million token, which could be around 500,000 words approximately. It could be plus or minus 100,000. So there are some token calculators available, but this is how the pricing is done. API pricing per 1 million tokens. UI remains free of charge, which means that if you are not using the API to access these particular models right here, you don't have to pay. As you can see, Gemini 2.5 Pro is the most expensive one in this particular list. There is use cases. It is best for coding reasoning. It's a thinking model. It thinks and reasons. For example, if you have a puzzle to solve, you can give it to this particular model. And multimodal understanding, which means it understands text, image, audio, video, all kind of format it understands. Use cases: reason over complex problems. That's the best use case for this particular model. And STEM problems and all sorts of different things. If you're using this model for simple things, it'll cost a lot of money and you may have to use some of these cheaper models. For example, proofreading some text. You don't need the thinking model for that unless you have something specific to proofread. Use some of these cheaper models for such kind of activities. In the bottom pane, you can see knowledge cutoff, which means that the training data which is used to train this model has been cut off at this particular date. If you're asking this model any questions after this particular date, it may not know out of the box. But if you're giving it context through agents and things like that, it should be able to bypass that limitation. But otherwise, the knowledge cutoff is this particular date. So this is a rate limit, 150 requests per minute. And this is the latency, which is on the higher side for this particular model because it's a thinking model. It takes a lot of time to think and reach to a conclusion based on the text we are giving. On the other hand, something like Gemini 2.5 Flashlight, it's a different model, has less latency and higher limits as well. Very cheap for 1 million token. But you can't use it for reasoning and things like that because the model doesn't do thinking internally. So that is Gemini 2.5, which is the latest model from Google, the most intelligent and smartest model for Google. Then Gemini 2.0, which is the older version of the same model. And this is the Gima. Gima also has a couple of different versions. You can download these models. It is hosted as well, as you can see, and it is completely free. You don't have to pay for Gima. So input and output is $0. Doesn't matter which one you choose. Although it is free, there is a rate limit, 30 requests per minute and around 200,000 requests per day. That's a limit of Gima. Keep that in mind. Unless you're hosting Gima by yourself. You can buy a graphics card and host Gima yourself and bypass this particular rate limit. Based on your cards, it'll process the request for you. There are some other models as well, which is not part of the certification or the topics we are planning to cover. So I'm not going to the details of it. So I'm going to select Gemini 2.5 Flashlight and going to tell it to tell a joke. Tell me a joke. And I'm going to run and it has come up with a joke. This particular joke is very common with AI. Whenever I ask it to tell me a joke, it always comes up with this particular joke. Anyway, it's another one which AIs are trained on. And let me change the model to Gima and I'm going to ask another question, probably same one. Let's see what it says. I won't be surprised. It is the same one. It is not. And it has come up with another one. As you can see, this model was slightly slower than the one before. So I see tell me a story so that it'll produce a little more lengthy output. So it is taking around a couple more seconds to output. Now it is 18, 19, 20, 21 seconds. Still keep going. It almost took 34 seconds to complete it. Now let's change the model to something faster, which is one of the Gemini models. And I will ask the same question. I'm pretty sure this is going to be faster than the other one. As you can see, it is a lot faster and it finished everything in 2.9 seconds. That is almost more than 10-15 times faster. So we have played around Gemini and Gma. So Gma you can download locally. So let's see that. What that means is this is an application called LM Studio in which you can search for Gma. And in this particular case, I have downloaded this particular model locally. So Gma has downloaded locally. So this is the size of the model, and it is saying full GPU offload possible, which means that I have a small graphics card on this particular laptop, nothing fancy, and LM Studio is going to load that model into the graphics card. So now I'm going to the chat interface of the LM Studio, and it is loading the model. So I have loaded Gemma inside LM Studio. Now I'm going to ask the same question. Tell me a joke. Let's see how it is responding. As you can see, it is taking a lot of time because it is running locally in this laptop right now as we speak. So it is coming up with a similar joke, scientist and atoms, the same one we have seen before, but it gave a correct response. You can simply download LM Studio and try this in your laptop. Depends on the configuration of the laptop. You will get different timings, but a model as small as this should be able to run inside your laptop. So one of the things I would like to show you is the amount of GPU it is using while it is giving the response or the inference time. Tell me a story. I'm expecting this response will take a lot of time. And if I look at my GPU usage, as you can see, 100% of my GPU is being used. I do have an NVIDIA graphics card, but I have turned it off because of this recording. Don't want to confuse my OBS Studio, but as you can see, the GPU is 100%. Who is using this? This is used by the model. The model is loaded into my GPU as we speak, and it is responding using this GPU, my graphics processing unit. So it is still responding with the story. The story is coming out and my GPU is high. And once it is finished, I'm expecting the GPU to go down. So let's keep a tab. The story is still going on. So it will take a while to finish the story because the token generation is very, very slow. And the main thing is that this is 100% local, no internet information is passed or any network communication is not happening right now while it is generating this particular story. So the GPU memory is also pretty high. As you can see, it is a shared GPU memory from the RAM. It is also pretty high. Almost 6 GB has used to load that particular model. If I want, I can click on this button and stop generating. So I have clicked on that button and it stopped generating. And as you can see, as soon as I stopped generating, my GPU has gone down. I don't want to wait till it completes that particular story, which is not the purpose, but it is keep writing that story and the GPU is high, which proves the fact that it is completely local. So next is a generate media, which is the imagine. We can generate the image of anything we like. Show me the image of a nice building with trees around it. So this is the latest and greatest of Imagined. There are other versions available, 3, Ultra, etc. So it has created almost a realistic image of a building with trees. It's very, very realistic. And you can mention the different aspect ratio here and generate accordingly. Another one is Veo, which generates video from text. So we have seen Google AI Studio, as well as we have run a model locally. We have seen how things works behind the scenes, how a model or a chatbot like ChatGPT or Gemini is working behind the scenes. There is a lot more to it. Let's continue our journey, and I'll see you in the next lesson.